Well, hello and welcome to another edition of The Tech Beat. I'm your tech guy, James Preston, and if you're anything like me, you'll need a mop, a bucket, and maybe a few of these bad boys to try and catch all of the drool from the early Labor Day sales. But before you rush off to Amazon or Google to find your new favourite gadget, we've got a tech show to download. Today's Tech Beat is loaded with great happenings from the world of technology. I'll give you all the details on the launch of new Surface hardware by Microsoft, plus NASA testing electric air taxis, Amazon Alexa's new adaptive volume feature, and the weirdness of the NFT space. So forget gigabytes, this show is that jam-packed, we're into the terabytes, baby. So let's get started with our highlight tech news for the day. The crypto space continues to provide us with some weird and wonderful stories, this time involving non-fungible tokens, commonly known as NFTs. A collector paid over $300,000 in Ethereum for an NFT from someone claiming to be the famous street artist Banksy. Now, this happened after the image appeared on the famed street artist's website. Banksy's spokesperson said that the artist was not involved with NFTs and subsequently it was declared as a fake. But in a strange show of goodwill, the seller decided to refund the money to the collector. And just to add to the weirdness, the collector who bought the NFT goes by the name of Pranksy. So there's a bit of a wonderful irony in Pranksy being pranked, and in the spirit of bizarre NFT space, I've also decided to get in on the action. Now, this brilliant, one-of-a-kind artwork can be purchased for the paltry fee of $47,000, which is definitely not the equivalent amount of debt that I have to remove from my credit score. Let's move on, shall we? Let's now turn our attention to mega corporation Amazon. Amazon is working to solve a frustration with smart home speakers by introducing a feature called adaptive volume. This will make Alexa respond louder if it detects that you're in a noisy environment. According to the company, the mode is meant to make sure that you can still hear Alexa's responses over any background noise, like the sound of, for example, a dishwasher or people talking or music playing on another device. Amazon says that the feature is currently available to US customers and that you can activate it by saying, "Alexa, turn on adaptive volume." Let's test that out right now, shall we? Alexa, play ad break before we continue with the tech beat. Sure, James, playing ad break. Excellent.
Property by 𝐾𝐞. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest slowdown in the property market, tune in on 𝐾𝐞 TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with 𝐾𝐞.
Welcome back to 𝐾𝐞 TV. I'm James Preston for the Tech Beat, your one-stop shop for all things technology. Now, ever since I was a child and saw Back to the Future for the first time, I've been dreaming of the day that we would have flying cars. That was supposed to be in 2015. What we got instead are hoverboards that don't actually hover. But we may now be one step closer to flying cars thanks to NASA. NASA kicked off test flights of their electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, which is being colloquially referred to as flying cars. NASA is doing the testing with Joby Aviation, the Northern California company that recently went public. The test flights are part of a national campaign by NASA to observe these experimental aircraft in action and then determine whether they are safe for passengers. Joby is the first company to participate in NASA's Advanced Air Mobility National Campaign. The test flights commenced on Monday, August 30, at the company's airfield in Big Sur, California, and will run through to September the 10th. Now, the space agency will be collecting vehicle performance and acoustic data for use in modelling and also simulation of future airspace concepts. A major selling point for these aircrafts is that they are noticeably less noisy than helicopters and therefore better suited for flights to overpopulated areas. And Joby has said that it aims to launch its first air taxi service in 2024. So not quite a flying car, but we will take what we can get at this point. Let's move on now though to Microsoft. Microsoft is holding a special Surface hardware event on September 22nd. The software maker has already started sending media invites for this fall hardware event, although it will be online only and not in person. Microsoft's invite says that the company will talk about devices and Windows 11, and we're expecting to see a successor to the Surface Duo and a new Surface laptop. Alright, time now for a very short break before we take a look at Microsoft's rival, Apple. Hi there, James Preston for 𝐾𝐤𝐼𝐴 TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. 𝐊𝐴𝐚𝐥𝐤𝐢𝐧𝐞 Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Thursday on The Tech Beat, exclusive to 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐴 TV. Thanks for tuning in to 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐴 TV. James Preston with you for the Tech Beat, exclusive to 𝐊𝐴𝐼𝐴, and it's now time to turn our attention to Apple. Well, Apple has announced the first US states that will support iOS 15's new ability to store driver's licenses and state IDs in the Wallet app. Arizona and Georgia will lead the way, with Connecticut, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Oklahoma and Utah to follow after that. No timetable has been given for exactly when the new feature will be adopted by these states, and the Transportation Security Administration has again confirmed it will open select airport checkpoints and security lanes to Apple's mobile IDs once states begin making them available. It seems Apple is trying to address the concerns that some have raised over what mobile IDs could mean for interactions with police and other law enforcement, and it sounds like you won't ever have to fully unlock your phone to share a mobile ID, which, depending on where you're standing, is either a wonder for the world of technology or extremely concerning as we watch society, our freedoms and our privacy crumble all around us. Ah, such bliss. Well, that's it for this edition of The Tech Beat. I'll join you next Thursday for the latest in tech, so join me then for another download.